Let's look at the anatomy or components of an API, a RESTful API. So when we're talking about RESTful APIs, we have to know those components, and some of those are required and some of them could be optional or could be required depending on the API itself. So the components, the main components of an API are the header, which has extra information including credentials. The endpoint, which is always required, that's basically the URL where the request is being sent to. The request body, I should have just said body instead of request, but the request body, some APIs you have to send body with it, some data with the request. Some APIs you don't have to. The method, that's another required component, which is it a post method, is it a post call, a get call? That is the HTTP method. Then we have the response body. Then API, you're making a request, you're expecting a response, so you have to have some kind of response, so you have to pay attention to that. And authentication, some APIs need authentication, some APIs don't. You have to send credentials like passwords or API keys, or there's different ways to authenticate, but sometimes they're authenticated based on a network. You have to be within the company's network to be able to make those API calls, right? So those are the components, and when you're making an API call from the command line, you use a tool called curl. So you make a curl call, and this is what it looks like. You do curl -x. This should actually have a post here, because you're creating something, and this API is to create a customer, and you have the endpoint, and you have the header, and you have the data. But normally you don't use curl that often. You first would do it in Postman, and Postman will actually generate the curl for you. So when you go to Postman, this is the tool Postman, right? So when you're trying to make this API call to say get customers or create customer, first you have to know the method. It's a post call. Then you have to have the endpoint. This is a full URL. That's the endpoint. Then you have to have the body, which is basically, why is this not showing here? The body is the payload that you're going to send, or the data you're sending with the request. And you have a JSON data. In this case, I'm trying to create a customer. So I have an email and a password set. Then I'm going to use the user. Let's say I'm going to create a new user. Then I'm going to send a request. So there's header here. In the header, in this case, I don't have anything in the authorization. I have some key and secret, API key and API secret. So this Postman would make things a lot easy for you to make an API call. Then I send the request. Now I get a response. I can close this log. And the response, you have to pay attention to the status code. That's the most important part. That will tell you if the API is successful or not. And you look at the body, the response body, and the body will also be in JSON. And you look at how long it took it if you are testing the API, if you care about how long it took to get the response. So those are the main components of an API. If you ever work with API, make sure you download Postman and use it. It will make your life a lot easier.